day. But who cares? We're back with another episode of Sessions with Mary Jane. I am your host, Jordan Freed, and I'm a little fried still. I already did the solo horror movie episode today, so I've been kind of at it and speaking a lot. So it's good to have a guest now, so I don't have to be speaking the whole time. Just to give you a heads up, Junk Mail Improv is going to be at the Montclair Comedy Festival on November 15th. I think our show is at 6 p.m. Don't quote me on that. It should be in the description below. But that's the next big show I have coming up. And then I also am doing stand-up on a show in Port Jervis, New York on December 6th. And honestly, by the time this comes out, I'll probably have some other shows going on, but I just don't know what those are because we're shooting this in October, hypothetically. But without further ado, we have a very esteemed guest with us today. He is a legend of Rutherford, New Jersey, and a true New Jersey legend in general. He is a fighter. He is a politician. And now, most notably, he is a comedian, and that's how I met him at the Williams Center, where I used to work, where we ran an open mic, and I got to become very familiar with Eddy's game, because there's a lot going on. But welcome to the podcast, Eddy Rolon.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for feeding my ego. Yes,
your ego deserves to be fed. You truly are a legend of New Jersey, and you deserve your flowers. You make life more interesting in the small town of Rutherford, New Jersey.
I try. I escaped from Jersey City, where I was born in the 70s and lived there all the way till 92, and I've been in Rutherford 30 years now, and I'm so glad I escaped.
Wow. What was it like growing up in Jersey City? Because now, like, Jersey City is like the hipster mecca. Like, everybody's moving there. You can't even look at Jersey City without seeing luxury apartment buildings. What was it like growing up there in the 70s and 80s?
Well, we moved around a lot. I had an unstable household, so the different experiences of moving throughout Jersey City were varied. A lot of apartment buildings. At the very end, we're actually in the projects on Sip Avenue and Van Winkle and Van Wagner Ave, and that was a good time to leave. It was a very good time to leave.
Oh, yeah.
Things were getting a little violent and dicey.
Oh, yeah. Had some close calls.
Yeah, when I had met my fiance, my wife now, for 27 years in a row.
Congratulations.
Oh, it's easy. I just do what she tells me. The thing was, there was a carjacking, there was a shooting, somebody was shot in the stomach and was on the hood of my car when I was heading over to her house in Kearney.
Oh, wow.
So it's like it was a good time to leave.
Yeah, so, no, that'll definitely do it. Growing up in New Jersey, you told me this story one time. Maybe it was a fever dream. Did you tell me that you used to hop trains?
Yes, I used to ride the Conrail trains in the back of the Dixon High School, behind Christ Hospital, all the way down Route 9. You were alongside, like you see in the movies from the 60s and 70s. You hop on and you see where they go. I do not want anyone else to do that. It was pretty dumb. Some close calls with that. But at the time, it was fun. We didn't have the internet.
Yeah, no, that's it's like a big epidemic right now, the subway surfing. Like, people are dying like every month subway surfing right now. But outside of that, I feel like that's like hobo shit. Like, I don't think anybody is, like, in my generation has really ever thought to jump on a train. Maybe in, like, more desolate parts of the country, but that seems like something of the past. Like, trains are barely even part of our society anymore, I guess. I guess some people are obsessed with trains, but...
Yeah, like, they're a hidden infrastructure that, most of the time doesn't affect you, but I always lived in areas where, you were less than a mile from a Conrail or a freight train place, and it was a fun place to hang out, to build things out of. Have you ever watched the Fat Albert cartoons?
Yeah.
They built things that were fun and useful and artistic right inside. The junkyards. So making a clubhouse with a car hood as a roof, and just whatever you find. That was part of growing up in Jersey City. And people would dump things all over up and down the cobblestone road that still partially exists between Jersey City and Hoboken. And that's where the Conrail trains were most accessible for the kids in my neighborhood. Run alongside, a lot slower than the subway trains. Hop on, and rarely were you bothered by the police. Now I think it's a lot more difficult for anyone to get to those areas. It's they have all kinds of surveillance, and they're better at keeping the kids safe. But it was dumb, but it was fun, to be honest. I wouldn't want my children to do it, but I'm honest that it was something that happened, and I look on it probably nostalgically as a fun, unique experience that should go away. Nobody else should be doing this.
I like that you're like, you're a role model in the community now. You're parent mode now. Yeah.
I never mentioned when I was elected to the school board in Rutherford, I didn't mention the train. It never came up. I didn't think it was a good idea.
Wow. So you just talked about getting elected to the school board. How did you know that you wanted to get involved in politics? I feel like we're going to jump around the map during this.
That's fine.
Whatever this is.
That's how my brain works anyway. I didn't believe that there was a politician that was honest and consistent. And my eldest child, Maddie, while in high school, told me about Bernie Sanders. I'd heard the name before, but I didn't know much about it. I was very apolitical. I just thought both sides were pretty corrupt, and not much we could do. And I guess I had gone along with voting for lesser evils and listening to him talk, and I was inspired. And he told me, told all of us, to get involved at the local level, run for local office, school board. So I did it. It was my first time running. I wasn't expected. The 3 other candidates had banded together and created a bracket so that they could campaign together and spend money and try to connect themselves. But by luck of the draw, I wound up being in the first column. I had 20 years of experience coaching. I was a teacher in St. Lucie Filippini Academy, which was Newark Archdiocese, and the Holy Spirit School. So, between the teaching and the coaching, people knew enough about that, and I wasn't political. I got elected. I actually came out ahead of Sergio Alati, who was he's the president of the school board now. He eventually got elected in, and got on the board. And I served it 3 years, and I learned an important lesson that the school board is not usually where the problem is. It's an important place to keep track of what's going on, but in our town, I felt the municipal government, the borough government, was a big issue, and seeing the unethical, the half-truths, the effect that money has on the redevelopment of our town, larger buildings, not taking care of low-income housing, not doing the right things for the community, but instead the builders, the contractors, the developers, they put money into the system as campaign donations, as jobs for friends, as a campaign donation in Hudson County, or in Bergen County and Rutherford, that somehow comes back to our campaign through campaign to campaign fundraising, which is an illegal practice called wheeling. And Governor Phil Murphy was actually one of the guys who was doing it. He was donating through his campaign and personally to people that ran in our mayor's races and our council. And they were getting around the maximums. So, say there's a $2,300 maximum for that job or that elected position. They could get over that. And if there's only 11 or so people donating to a campaign, and 9 of them are builders, contractors, and developers, or other campaigns that have received money from those same builders and contractors and developers, it's almost transparently, paying to play, to get the opportunity to get the redevelopment deals, where they're not doing something great for the community. They're getting a pilot agreement, which is a payment in lieu of taxes, which is lower than the amount of taxes that homeowners pay, or that people through renting, your rent goes up because the owner, the landlord, is paying more in his taxes. So it trickles down to everybody. So whether you're a renter or an owner, you don't want pilots that don't serve the community. If they were buying us a community center or a fire station or something like that, that's a different story. But we weren't getting that. They were getting a lower price for their giant luxury apartment buildings, preferred parking, and the town was really getting nothing. And we were actually misled by at least two of the council people with the number of, we're a town of about 19,000, 20,000, in that range. And we have an idea of how many kids are going to be in the school each year. It's about 200 per class. And that's going to go up when you have more apartment buildings and more bedrooms. And that wasn't, that information wasn't transferred between the borough council who knew what buildings. It was like over 400 units that were going to be going in over a couple of years. So when we're building the schools out and getting more space, we need to know. But that's bad marketing for people running for office. It's almost like politicians aren't honest. Except for Bernie Sanders, who's been pretty honest and consistent his entire career to the best of his ability.
Do you, like, most people focus on, like, the big elections. Like, everybody's talking about Zoran Mamdani and New York because that impacts the larger area. It also apparently says something about the greater country per se, like the biggest city in the country. If they're voting a certain way, that might show a trend in one direction or another. But why is it important for people to be concerned about their own government? Like, these are kind of like distraction, like smoke bombs being thrown out, like Mamdani. It's like, think about Mamdani the whole time because he's this boogeyman. Like, think about him. Like, he's this guy who either represents you really well or he's the scariest thing in the world. Like, go focus on him. Like, don't focus on your community in Long Island. Don't focus on your community in, like, the Hudson Valley or in Sussex County or Middlesex, New Jersey, you know? Do you think this is that people should be more concerned? Like, do you think this is happening everywhere all over the country, that basically luxury apartment builders are just donating to the campaigns and it's getting pushed through everywhere? Is this something you've seen? Have you talked to people in other areas?
Well, the big boogeyman, whether it's at the top levels of Trump or Biden, or the people who are running for local office will definitely have a preference or an idea of how they feel on these big issues, but they're not affecting that. They're not voting on abortion, not voting on wars. They're voting exactly for where you live, the zoning that's going to affect, do you have a parking spot? Do your kids have a good child to teacher ratio? And boogeyman issues are easy to influence people while the stuff goes on in the back room where, in our town, for example, we don't have full-time politicians. The mayor is $4,000 a year. The council is $3,000 a year as salaries. But they're spending $10,000 on these campaigns, $20,000. Back in the early 2000s, it was $100,000 that someone spent on a campaign for mayor for a job that pays $4,000. So what's the motivation? Who's investing all this money? It's the donors that want something from them. They're paying to get something in return, and it's hidden. It's below the radar because of things like scare tactics of the New York mayor. A lot of people live in New Jersey, work in New York. It will affect them, so they are concerned. But I'd love to see him win and something new. And if it doesn't work, right, vote him out. If it works, great. If you're trying to sabotage him once he's already in, that could be a problem too. I think we've seen that with both Biden and Trump, that people want them to fail. It's like, that's not good for us. We don't want them to fail. It sucks that those are the choices we're left with at the top level. But the bottom level, ranked choice voting, I'd love to see that go across the country and have third and more parties as opposed to the big two duopoly. Rutherford, for example, the registered Republicans and the registered Democrats decide the first two columns. Any third columns are independent and third party, have different criteria. You have to get a petition to run for office, and you need 100 signatures to run as an independent. But as a Democrat, you need only 50 signatures. As a Republican, you only need 35. Because why? It's to maintain the duopoly. They work together. I like to point out that Trump was a registered Democrat 2001 to 2009. Elizabeth Warren was a Republican until her late 40s. People want to be in power. You would hope it was altruistic. They want to do the right thing. But no, they just want to be in power, help their friends, help their family, feed their egos. And it's disappointing. So I wish more people were involved with lower level politics, the municipal, the borough level, but it's hard. You got a family, you got time. I'm lucky to be disabled. That's a weird way to say it. I have a lot of free time to look into these things, and I have an interest in, the idea that my children and their children, the idea that you can plant a tree that you'd never be underneath the shade of. I like that idea that you're doing things forward. But in the short term, it's I think important for people to figure out their own priorities, do the best they can with research, but that's such a hot mess with confirmation bias. People go towards the news source that feeds what they want to believe, and if they don't like it, if it challenges them, they stop looking or stop believing, turn themselves off, and it's disappointing.
Yeah, you talked about somebody getting $100,000 for their campaign. We saw Kamala Harris get $1 billion for her campaign. Where does this campaign money go? How does it benefit the actual candidates? Are they eating lobster every day on the campaign trail because they make all this money? Why would somebody even want this much money? Are they just getting enough staff that it becomes easy for them to run so that they don't really need to do as much? Where does this money go? And is it a corrupt thing to have a ton of money? Are people able to take this money out and be like, oh, well, I need a house for my campaign. I'm getting a $300,000 house because that's what I need to run. What are you allowed to spend money on? And where does it go?
Well, the ethics rules that when I ran for a school board, I raised zero money. I made a couple of signs with.
So you're an expert.
Yeah, so I'm an expert. I raised less than $500 for my independent runs and independent Bernie Krat runs for mayor and council, because there's thresholds where you have to do a new level of reporting. You have to hire a campaign manager and a finance manager, and it's tough to get into it. It's another way to keep people out of politics by making it difficult, complicated, and convoluted for no good reason. The other thing is, I mentioned before, the $3,000 to $4,000 salaries, in our town.
Yeah.
If you had a full-time job and you could do that, great. It's volunteer work. But if there's an emergency during the day, will your job let you come off and do that? Could you lose your job? So it dissuades people. You can't just quit your job and be the mayor of Rutherford and live on $4,000 a year. So it takes people out of the equation when they could never be mayor unless they live in a very unique situation, independently wealthy, retired. So there's a lot of things get in the way. So that money you were talking about, the billions of dollars that go into the combined campaigns, you see it pretty plainly that their donors are getting some of the money back through their friends, their companies, getting some of the campaign work. Let's take something like T-shirts. Yeah. Right. They overpay for the T-shirts, almost like the Pentagon overpaid for toilet seats in the 80s and 90s. And we saw it even in Rutherford during our COVID shutdown. We're still buying T-shirts for a rec department that wasn't even running games or sports. But I guess the agreement between the politicians and whoever owns that T-shirt printing company for the yearly T-shirts, no, you still got to spend your $20,000. And it goes from top to bottom that people will get do nothing jobs. In the newspaper, there's a building inspector who worked in Rutherford, Union City, and Wallington, 3 full-time jobs. How do you do that? Is that 3 pensions? It's like a whole mess. But through whose friend is he? Whose brother is he? These are the kind of questions that unfortunately keeps coming up: nepotism, cronyism. And that's a method of paying and unethical, corrupt behavior that just it's business as usual in New Jersey. If New Jersey didn't have so many boroughs, if we didn't have everybody wants their own identity, these small connected towns that are incredibly dense, and we shared services between the local communities, there'd be a ton of savings. There'd be a lot less politicians, a lot less middle management, and there's no motivation because that's part of the I think the embedded corruption that you don't need 7 police forces for for 7 towns that probably have the equivalent of maybe say Hackensack. Yeah. You have one, you get a better sheriff's office, or the same thing, fire departments, but everybody wants to put their stamp on it. The schools are another example of that. People are real excited about the Rutherford Bulldogs, but does it really serve us not to like have a regional school system that shares services? When I was on the school board, I learned that because we don't have a cafeteria and a good way to store food or refrigeration and freezing, East Rutherford is doing all that, and we're paying East Rutherford to ship it from there to us. And
from Beckton.
Wow. So it's like that's kind of a mess. You see some of the services that are just overcharged. Some disability services for bringing kids to like the Bergen County Jointure. It's like $30,000 a year to transport them from one location to another. And who's getting that bus ride, or is it always done? It's not filed. There's no auditing process. There's no accountability. So I think a lot of campaign money and unfortunately even government money, it just kind of like evaporates like pixie dust.
It's helping somebody.
It's helping people on a small level, but it's helping other people make money from multiple streams of income and through other business. So one of the accusations I had against me was
like during COVID, like somebody made a lot of money off of making masks.
Yes.
Oh, well, they never make money. Like they just have a regular business. Now they get to be rich for a couple of years.
One of the accusations I had was on the school board is because I was pushing for the cafeteria to be built and for the expansions of the schools. So opponents of me being on the school board said, well, he obviously owns a construction company and a catering company. I don't own either of those things. I own a mixed martial arts gym, and my wife works in TV and movies doing hair. Like we didn't own these businesses, but that's what got pushed out there. When I pushed back on some of the spending on like the disability park that we have in disability accessible park that we have in Memorial Field, I thought these things were great to be added to the park we already had there. But they knocked it down, put in full new fencing and a new ground system that wasn't needed. Like everything existing was still quite usable, in great shape. And they made this accessible park that was supposed to have I think it was $180,000 tag that went up to $360,000, then it went up to $700,000. It would cost nearly $980,000 when it was done.
Oh wow!
And it was late, and they didn't put the shade things in the right thing, and it's less utilized than it used to be. So
because if you close something down, then all the regulars stop going.
Right.
It's like, I used to walk through the park every day, and then it's like, oh, now there's a fence there. I can't walk through the park.
They
killed my path through the woods. They said they're gonna make that into something else. And they haven't done shit to it yet, right? Yeah, it's just. They blocked it off.
After a couple of years,
to find mushrooms in the woods of Rutherford. It was a great time.
Making you a fun guy, but the promises, the follow through, like it's hard to track. The money game is so broken that you could have something sound so good and so well intentioned, and then you find out the reality of what the follow through was, and who got paid, and who owns the electrical company that got the contract, and it makes you feel icky.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we don't have to talk about politics all day. You alluded to it before, but you used to have a gym. How did you get into the world of fighting and get to the point that you had a gym? Like what brought you into that kind of odd subculture, since you're in like 8 different odd subcultures?
to somebody, every subculture is odd and
true.
You're normal.
Yeah,
There's no such thing as normal. But it worked out that I was working for Comcast as a field technician. So I was climbing up 28-foot ladders, doing service calls, installing cable. And through that rotation, I also got involved with the IT. So I was in the dispatch office, helping with pay-per-view, helping with sending the techs out. And I was able to make overtime monitoring the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, in 1996, I think it was. And I thought it was pro wrestling. I thought it was fake. I had no interest in it. And so I'm watching it. I'm supposed to write down every time the sound drops out or the picture cuts out, so that people that want refunds can possibly have a refund. So as I'm watching, I'm like, I think this is real. I think he really kicked him in the face. I think he really took him down. I think he really is choking him. And something about it, it's like, well, this is combining like something useful like self-defense and combat sports. And I wasn't attracted to the violence, but I was attracted to the purity of it and the science and the technique of it. And I think the sportsmanship was pretty good. Like, these guys were just about, quote unquote, killing each other in there. Then afterwards, shaking hands, hugging it out, and it seemed good. It seemed pretty honorable that somebody could say that's enough and tap out. And
this is the exact era before the Smashing Machine, if anybody has seen that takes place from 1997 to 2000.
Right. So I started in 1998 competing myself. So I was watching it when it was still unregulated in most states. Back to politics. Senator John McCain was a huge opponent of mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
He had called it human cockfighting.
They're trying to ban the bloody thing. That's like a line from the Smashing Machine. Dwayne Johnson's character.
It's funny. I haven't seen the newest movie, but I seen the documentary, and I actually hung out with Kerr at the was it UFC 32. I was a cornerman for Elvis Sinacek when he fought Tito Ortiz, Mark Kerr, Randy Couture. Coleman, a lot of these guys were there. I got to train with some of these bigger names. I didn't train with Kerr, but I trained with Couture, trained with Jeremy Horn, Matt Hughes, like names that were a big deal at the time. But the thing that got me in was I was like, I want to try this. I want to see what it's like. I had been an athlete in high school, but no superstar, and had no idea that I'd be doing anything as a professional. And when I saw it a few times, it's like, I want to try this. And my fiance, eventually my wife, said, "You're not tough. You're not going to do that. You're a kidder. You're a joker kind of guy." And I'm like, "I'm tough." I think my voice cracked. But at least I figure I'm determined, and I think I have a good handle of emotional regulation, which is a weird thing to prioritize. But keeping yourself calm when you're fighting or competing in anything, it's pretty useful. So I did it backwards. I signed up for a fight before I trained.
Oh wow!
This was the fight was February 28th, 1998 at BAMA, the Bayside Academy of Martial Arts. UFC referee Dan Regalata, he owned a school, and he was running these events every 3 months or so. So I found out it on the fledgling internet, dial-up.
Wow.
So when my modem finally connected, I signed up for it, and I paid $35. I gave in my application December of 1997. I found a place to train January 5th, 1998. So it was my first time training. I told the guy what I was doing. He's like, "We'll get you ready." His name was Rick Sikora. And we did some jiu-jitsu and judo and wrestling and boxing for a couple of weeks. And I was like, I'm getting strong. I'm losing weight. I agreed to fight at 235. I started at 257, so I had to lose that weight before the fight. And I was supposed to fight a guy who was about the same weight, who has 6 months experience. Forgot what his name was. Didn't matter because he was never real. They just set you up. They want people on a string so they can get someone in there to fight.
Oh, okay.
So they tell you whatever you want to hear. "Oh yeah, we got a guy for you. Oh yeah, you'll probably have 5 pounds on him." All these crazy stories. So as I'm training and getting better and losing weight, and it's like things are starting to click. Everything changed at the gym, and now we're just getting out sticks, and we're going to do stick fighting and weapon disarmament. And I was like, well, I thought we were like training for Ed. It can't all be about you, was what the instructor said. So he gave me access to one of the other guys who've been training. His name was Bill Carter. He was a black belt in judo. He's like, "Well, after class, you guys want to roll around, do some more stuff. Bill has a key. You can come in at other times." So Bill worked with me. I'd get up before work, 6 a.m., train, finish work, train after 7. So the weight just flew off of me, and I felt like things clicked for me pretty well, at least in that small pond. And I could tap everybody except the instructor and Bill. So the other 7 or 8 guys that would roll through there, I could make them tap out. I figured out enough moves. It was side chokes was my trick, choking someone with one of their own arms. It's very, very helpful. So I get into the fight, and the other guy, I was supposed to fight, the mythical, 6 months guy didn't exist. Here's who you're really fighting. His name was Phil Friedman. He had over 2.5 years of training. He was a blue belt under Hoyler Gracie. He was teaching the kids classes, and he was a lot bigger than I was. He was, I think, 6'2", 270. So he had about 35 pounds on me. And but I'm there. My corner man was not somebody who trained because my instructor didn't show up. He had car trouble. So I'm out there and I'm watching other guys train and work out. And it's funny, I wound up becoming friends with a lot of these guys and training with them, and even hiring some of them as instructors at my gym over the years. And everybody's doing their own thing. They're shadow boxing and sparring and training with. So me and my friend from high school, he's like, Ed, we should get out of here. This isn't cool. And I'm like, no, it's gonna be all right. So we go behind the actual school. There was an empty lot, and we throw a frisbee around, a football around. I'm stretching out a little bit. Because my buddy doesn't know how to like spar or hold pads or anything like that, so I just want to be loose and relaxed. So I go back in there, and I'm in the back half of the card. I think there was something like 17 fights that night, so I'm in the last 3 for whatever reason. I found out the reason later. He had brought about 40 people to watch him. My wife, who we had actually gotten married 2 weeks before that very first fight, didn't want to go. She went to a seance for another friend that was getting married, like their wedding shower or their baby shower or whatever it was. And she's like, call me after, tell me how it goes. Which was what we figured out. She had thought of it more like, get it out of your system, and I never want to hear about it again. Yeah. So I watched a couple of fights go, and one guy gets knocked out with a spinning back kick. He's lying on the ground. He's frozen in like a V shape, spasming a little bit. And he starts talking and says, I can't see. I thought this guy got kicked blind. EMTs go in there. His sight comes back. I'm like, what the hell did I get myself in? Oh, I agreed. I'm going to follow through. So it's my turn to fight. I get up there. And I'm a little goofy when I get in there. I put my head in the ring, back out, go through the ropes like a couple of times. Like, keep myself. I go in and I do this warm-up. Both sides. And shake hands. The guy, 2 hands. And he's there for business. And if anybody knows the jiu-jitsu point system, I was at the end losing 24-2 on points. But this is shoot fighting, so you can do open hand strikes to the head, kick anybody, any part of the body, knee, anything but the head, and all submissions are like legal. So that means neck cranks and heel hooks and things I hadn't trained yet. So this guy is dominating me from start to finish on the ground. He's taking me down. I hit him with a couple of strikes where I messed his hair up, made him mad, and he took me down so hard that the bounce actually put me back on top because I didn't know how to defend it and how to sprawl. So I'm on top. So I try to choke him with 2 hands like Frankenstein, which is one of the poorest things. He couldn't believe I was doing it. It's like the worst thing you could be taught in jiu-jitsu. I have a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu now, so it's very funny to me that I would have done this. So he goes for the arm bar, and I'm able to hold on him and stay out of the arm bar enough that I can reach the rope and shake the rope. So like pro wrestling, there is a crossover. If you grab the ropes, they have to break the submission hold twice. If you do it 3 times, you lose the match. So in the first 5 minutes, I had to do that. And so the guy's up on points if it goes to decision. And my corner man at some point had said to me, Ed, that's enough. Let's be done. And I was like, no, I'm good. I can keep going. I had a lot of ego, determination, and my endurance was good for it. So we go again and back into the fight, 10 minutes straight. So even now the UFC is only 5-minute rounds, but this was back then 10 minutes straight. And so we're in the second half of the match. He's fatiguing a little bit, but I'm being dominated. He gets on top of me in a mount position, knees underneath my armpits, and he starts choking me from the front, smothering me. And I'm using my feet to push myself from the center of the ring, and I'm reaching for the ropes. I'm not quite reaching it, and I almost passed out. I almost threw up. I spit out my mouthpiece, and I finally get to the ropes, so he has to break the hold. So at this point, his 40 fans, his mom, his dad, his girlfriend, kids from his school, his instructor, they're all like, if there was a baseball game, 2 outs. They're all showing two. One more, he's done. So I go back to my corner, and at some point, my corner man had gotten a hot dog. So And he's still very negative on this whole experience. And his breath, I almost vomited. And he's cleaning my mouthpiece because I had spit it out because I was so fatigued. And the referee, Dan Maragalotta, the UFC ref, he's, come on, we got to get going. So finally come back in, and maybe there's 3 minutes left. Another big takedown. I try to choke him again, but this time when I break the arm bar grip that he tried on me, I was able to kneel on the back of his leg and give him something new. I created something right there, a type of escape. In the scramble, I'm on top of him. I'm smothering him with my chest and my hands, and I still get reversed, but I still have that smother on him. So there's less than 30 seconds at this point, and he bites me. He bit me, and we're big guys. We both wore shirts. Yeah. He bit me through the shirt, and I yelled, "He bit me!" And I didn't let go of his head, but I loosened the grip because the referee came over and said, "Phil, did you bite him?" And Phil lied. He shook his head. No. Fight. To the referee's defense, sometimes when you're grappling or wrestling, your skin gets pinched, like somebody's knee or elbow gets pinched to the ground, and it could feel like somebody bit you. But you can see in the VHS video that he's laughing because he thinks I'm just being a baby. So I smother and I pull his head down harder in the lower part of my body. The referee goes to the other side of us to keep an eye on what I'm doing, make sure I'm not poking him in the eye or anything. And this time the VHS camera can catch Phil, spit out his mouthpiece, bite me a second time, pull and rip. And one of the rare times in my life I've cursed. You've seen me on stage many times. I don't curse. I talk about adult themes, but no cursing. And I yelled, "He's effing biting me," but I didn't use I didn't just say F. So everybody's laughing. But I get the better smother, and I tap him out with 1 second left. 9 minutes, 59 seconds. He taps out because I got the neck crank smother on him. And I push him off me. I stand up, and the crowd's very confused. The guy was dominating. Yeah. What just happened? Did I tap out? They don't know. And there's probably about 200 people in this 40 by 80 storefront by the Route 1 and 9 viaduct in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And everybody's like, what happened? What's going on? So I lift my shirt and I show the two big bite marks on me. They start booing. They're boo, boo. And it's hurting my feelings because I said, but I won. And I don't know who. I'd like to think it's my friend Timmy Hands, who's a very good wrestler. He actually went to the Olympic trials for Greco-Roman wrestler, 130 pounds. But somebody started the slow clap that caught on. And afterwards, people were like, "Wow, you have the heart of like a gladiator. You're like, you don't give up. I'd never want to fight you. You're like a vampire." And I was like, I barely survived that. I call my wife, and she's like, "Well, I'm glad you won. I'm glad you got it out of the system." About 3 weeks later, we get the videotape, and she watches the video, and she turns to me and says, "When are you going to fight again?"
Wow.
So that was the first time. That was my entry into amateurs. And my wife, to her credit, started coming to all the matches. She's cornered me for a few things, including grappling. At this point in my life, I have 280 plus matches between grappling, shoot fighting, boxing. But that was the very first one. I won the amateur belt by fighting in multi-person tournaments. So back in '98, I entered that tournament. I came in second, but I submitted my first two opponents pretty quickly. And then I fought a guy who was about 320 pounds in the final, and I lost the decision, 10 minutes straight, 5-minute overtime. But, picture in the full contact newspaper, and I was making a name for myself as an up-and-coming amateur. Think everything's going well, but I'm losing weight so quickly. So it was back in those days, it was a 200-plus weight category. So the lightest guy was 217. I think I was 219. And then the next guys were like 240, 260, 320, 400-pounder. The 320 guy beat the 400-pounder at some point. I'm fighting him, but in an 8-man tournament, you're fighting 3 times one night. And not just grappling. It's open hand strikes, closed fists to the body, knees to the head, kicks. So the evolution of the sport, it was still called NHB back then, no holds barred. So no holds barred, but you still couldn't poke anybody in the eye, no groin shots, no headbutts, no biting. Sorry, Phil, no biting. But the perception of it from guys like Senator John McCain was that this sport could probably supplant boxing, which it has at this point. And he comes from the Anheuser-Busch family. From for both money and family. They don't want to see boxing like that. Boxing is actually a lot more dangerous for head trauma, CTE, and deaths per year than mixed martial arts. Cheerleading is more dangerous than mixed martial arts.
Oh, wow.
NASCAR racing, by percentage of people that participate, that's one of the more deadly pro events. But the tapping out and the other opportunities for making someone give up that isn't striking them to the head lends itself to be a safer but more dramatic sport. There's more cuts from things like elbows and knees. When they got rid of headbutts, I think they got rid of a lot of the unnecessary gore. Headbutts rarely finish a fight, but they do crack teeth and create big cuts and scars.
That was a big Mark Kerr thing.
Yes.
The movie.
Wow. Yeah, for a big wrestler that didn't know how to strike very well, that would be a good way to go. So there were some guys that got a lot of mileage out of making a mess out of the cage of the ring at that time. My instructor for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was Edson Carvalho, and he had lost to Igor Vocianchin, who was, I guess, they showed it correctly. He beats Kerr 2 out of 3 times in their series of fights. But and I was actually an Igor fan. The Smash Machine documentary, did you see that?
No, I haven't seen it.
I suggest you see that, because the tie-in I have to that is at UFC 32 when I was cornering Elvis Sinisic, making friends with Pat Miletich, Jeremy Horn, those guys. Randy Couture needed a place to work out. I invited him to my gym that I was training out of. I took the day off of work at Comcast because I'm fighting professionally, but I'm still working at the cable company back then in 2000, right? 2001? Yeah, it was 2001. And I take Couture and his training partner Aaron Creasy from their hotel to this training place, but Kerr's out there. The camera crew for the Smash Machine documentary is there, and so is Dawn, whatever. So Kerr says to me, nice ears, because I have a bit of cauliflower in both ears. I don't know if you guys can see that well. But the thing is, Couture has one gnarly ear, and the other one was pretty good. Aaron Creasy, Randy Couture's training partner, same thing, 1-1. Randy has 2 ears that make my ears look silly. They look like I've never done any kind of combat sports. His ears are big gnarled cobbles. They look like they'd be delicious bakery items. So as we're comparing them, we talked about what could cause someone to get those cauliflower ears on both sides versus one side, and it's probably the headlocks. When you're pulling out of headlocks in both directions, if you're getting caught in headlocks in both directions, you're gonna fold up and damage and squeeze both ears. Ears have poor circulation, so the trapped blood and broken cartilage pieces, they get trapped into something that's like organized tissue that's similar to cartilage and scar tissue mixed together. That's why it's all knobby like this now that it's healed. When it first happens, it's big, swollen, it's red and thumping with blood being pumped into it that can't get back. So you got to get it drained. They put a syringe in. My wife did it to me one time when I came home with a big gnarly one. And the noise that it makes, I can hear it very well, but she could hear it too. She runs out and she leaves the syringe hanging in my ear in the bathroom, and I had to finish it myself. And I've gone to the doctor a few times, but I was already ugly. I'm already married. What do I care? But to finish with the Kerr story, so as we're comparing this, he's talking about his ear. He goes like, I've one good-looking ear, and his girl Dawn would kiss the nice ear, but then she'd feel bad about not kissing the nasty ear. And then she'd kiss his nasty ear, and he admitted that he would lose his erection during that, thinking about her tongue and his nasty, gnarled ear. And then he asked me to never tell anybody about that. Sorry, Mark. It's a good story, though.
Wow. Wow. We've went so deep into the fighting, so deep into politics. What are you doing now? Now I see you out at comedy stuff.
I'm transitioning from former professional cage fighting champion has-been to never will be comic. Thank you for giving me a place to do that. But I enjoy the comedy. I get to tell stories about fighting, about family. I get to do some stunts. You've seen me do stunts. Have you participated in any of my stunts?
I think I've
did you
stood on your
Did
neck.
You stand on my throat?
I think I stood on your throat.
Yeah, you stood on my throat.
I had to. I was around for. I've probably seen your throats stood on more than any other person, right?
I hope so. I don't try this at home.
I think I have the record for seeing your throat be stood on and assuring people it's fine. Like, you're fine. You're not going to injure him. No, I don't know.
Not yet. One day it'll go badly and everyone will regret it. No, but I started doing that in, I think the mid 2000s. We're talking about blocking guillotine chokes. And if someone does a guillotine choke correctly, they should actually not get the front of your throat. They should just hit the carotid. It's almost like hitting the sides.
Yeah.
But most of the times when you're blocking, it turns into this. It's a bar against your windpipe and your the front of your throat. So you can make a squeeze, a muscle in there, but it'll still crush. The secret is, don't try this at home, is holding air in it. So if you can picture like a sausage or a balloon that you twist up like a balloon animal.
Yeah.
So I'm holding air in there that gives me extra resistance in the muscle, and I'm staying calm. And I can maintain it for 10, 15 seconds. And if somebody's squeezing really hard as they can, they can't squeeze past that. So if I can resist that hard squeeze, it's just going to get easier and lighter. Everything's like that. So I'm going for an arm bar or a chokehold. If they start at 100%, it's only going to go down. So my idea is that you start at 70% and you gradually go up so you don't burn out.
Yeah.
And then you switch to something else. But in doing that, people are like, well, I can't believe I can't guillotine choke you. How much weight do you think is on there? I was like, I don't know. Do we test how much you can squeeze, or put weights on my throat? No, we're not gonna put weights on your throat. All right, well, I'm gonna lie on the ground and just push in my throat gradually until I tap. So the guy's doing that, and I'm not tapping. Okay, well, what do you weigh? The guy weighs about 160. All right, 1 foot on the ground, 1 finger on the wall for balance. Just stand there for 10 seconds. Okay, I'll get a bigger guy, 170, 180, 220, 250, 260. Big Nick Kajia. Big Nick at his heaviest was 360 pounds. So somewhere between 350 and 360, he stood on my throat. And I was able to withstand that. And I was still doing that as almost like a gym party trick up until like 2012. And never had an issue with it. I stopped doing it because I came down with an autoimmune disease. There's another turn, right? I have something similar to multiple sclerosis. I have CIDP, chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyradicular neuropathy. No, nobody knows that one. It's similar to GBS, Guillain-Barré syndrome, which only lasts maybe 6 or 8 weeks, but anything past that is considered a chronic version. So I was starting to get numbness and tingling in my fingertips, my toes, around my mouth, and then weakness and flaccid paralysis. What guy likes to say they got flaccid paralysis? Where I wasn't able to lift my arms, I started becoming clumsy, couldn't, like things I used to enjoy doing. I got involved with gymnastics. I was doing cartwheels and handstands and walking my hands. I got some videos on YouTube and Facebook of me walking 25 feet on my hands, doing backflips and stuff. 185 pounds. Right now, if you look at me, I'm about 265. I've been as high as 299, but I just won't go over 300 because that arbitrary number bothers me. But at the time, like I had just finished a Spartan run. I had just done a 5K, and then everything just started getting weird. I started getting tunnel vision on effort, from going, being able to do 130 push-ups to, over the course of a few months, can't do 30. So went to neurologists. They bounced me around, getting MRIs, EMG NCVs, which are like needles and
you're literally like, before this happens, like
at
the healthiest of your life, probably.
I always had knee problems, so I had knee surgeries and stuff that had put me out. Lower back, L5, S1. It's like losing a game of Battleship. Yeah. C2, C3, L5, S1, hit. But I was coming back from it, and I had actually competed as a pro and won in 2006, 2007. But the training camps, the matches, and the recovery, my knees were popping out. Yeah. So I wound up getting the knee surgery. Took a while to rehab where it was stable enough to trust. And, I thought I was going to make another run at 39 and going into my 40s. And then the CIDP thing happened. So over the course of a couple of months, I had trouble teaching classes. I stopped doing gymnastics. I've been teaching gymnastics too during this time.
Oh, wow.
In Nutley at Flipping Out. It used to be Gymnastics World, and then new owners came in. And it was something I enjoyed doing. And access to trampolines and bars and all the gymnastic floor stuff. It was good for me. It was a good outlet. And And then all of a sudden these things become impossible, not because of age or, not or lack of effort. It's like I'm working just as hard as I ever have, and it hasn't. I actually have, I don't have it with me, but I have a notebook of some, because I was doing private lessons too, of my own personal records per year of like how fast I could run a mile, how fast I can do 400 meters. And so watching all that stuff in the course of months, just like, go down to, sedentary levels.
Yeah.
So my wife and I actually went, one of the last times I ran a mile, I was in 2012, the end of 2012. My wife and I are racing a little bit, and I'm very competitive. I don't want to lose to my wife. She makes more money than me. Why should she also beat me in a race? I went up getting ahead of her, but I got tunnel vision, started throwing up, and it was a bad deal. And this was all CIDP related, but they didn't. It's such a rare disease. It's not as common as MS that it took 11 months to diagnose and 13 months to start the treatment. So that delay turned into nerve damage from my knees to my hips on both legs.
Oh, wow.
Where I don't feel anything on the outside of the legs. Like the whole outside is like, feels like chaps. Not that I know what it feels like to wear chaps, what I imagine it would feel like to wear chaps. But it feels like there's a piece of leather on the outside of my leg that isn't connected to me. The rest of the stuff is like coordination. So before I came here today, I was actually at PT, and I'm wearing a brace that's an orthotic thing that stops drop foot. So my foot will flop on stairs.
Did you put it up on the table for the camera? No, I'm playing.
No, I don't know how that works. There's a orthotic device in there. I feel like I'm an athlete trapped in a slightly disabled body. Well, not slightly. There's some days where it's really bad. I was on the cane for a while. When I was actually running for the offices, and when I held office as on the school board, I had a nurse coming with me, giving me blood infusions with immunoglobulin during the meetings. Like she'd be there monitoring me, taking my blood pressure, and I would get the IV infusion. It was 5 to 7 hours, 3 days in a row, every 3 weeks. And then in 2019, there was a new jump in technology where you could get it subcutaneously. So that's what I had last night. But 6 small injection sites in my belly or my legs or my arms that my wife and I can do at home. And that one I have to do every week, but it only takes a couple of hours. So it's less invasive, less problems. I was getting like... from all those injections from 2013, all the IVs from 2013 to 2019, thrombosis and vein problems, and having that 5 to 7 hours, 3 days in a row, it was like, and then the recovery period from that. So this is less invasive, probably slightly less effective, but it keeps me breathing, keeps me walking around. At the worst with this, I had respiratory arrest from the autonomic systems, one of your peripheral nerve systems. This conversation's going all over the place. Peripheral nerves. MS is the central nervous system. The peripheral nervous system is things like your limbs, your feeling, your touch, but also your breathing, your heart rate. So all of a sudden, I couldn't breathe automatically. My diaphragm had stopped working automatically.
Oh, wow.
So I had to breathe on purpose. So I felt like I was swimming. It was my daughter's birthday in July of 2013, and we're playing the superhero fighting game. Can't think which one it was. DC Universe.
Street Fighter? No.
Can't think.
No, I know what you're talking.
You know what I'm talking about. See, I was from the head trauma. I have short-term memory loss and aphasia, brain damage. But they're in a video game. I was starting to get tunnel vision and gasping, and I know what was going on. So all of a sudden, I realized, like, unless I decide to take a breath in and a breath out, it just wasn't happening, or it was happening so weakly that I wasn't getting oxygen into my lungs and my blood system. So after my wife had work the next day, she had a photo shoot or a commercial in Hoboken at a hospital. I knew she had to get up at like 5 a.m. It's like, well, she'll be mad if I die, so I better wake her up. And we decided to call the ambulance, and they gave me oxygen. I was in the hospital for it was over like 3.5 days. But they wanted to intubate and all this stuff because they make a lot of money when they intubate. See, money, politics, and healthcare. But I was able to breathe on my own purposefully for 8 hours before they put what was it called, gamma guard, immunoglobulin treatments in me, and then I could then the autonomic system turned back on. Since then, I hadn't had an issue that's lasted longer than a half hour. It's also known as Ondine's curse, where you don't have automatic respiration, which is scary at night. So I was on CPAP machines and ventilators at night for a while, but they have their own problems, because if they're not set right or your breathing changes, they kill sleep. So quality of sleep is going down. But I'm a big fan of oxygen. I love my wife and kids, but oxygen's got to be up there too.
Wow. How is coming into comedy been? Like, you've already kind of been all around the world and back, and you started comedy like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
Actually, no, it is November 2nd, 2022 was my first day of doing an open mic.
Nice. So it's probably going to be your 3-year anniversary-ish when this comes out.
Okay. What do you know what episode number this is?
I think this is going to be 125?
128?
127 or 128.
Okay. So that makes sense. My birthday is January 25th, so I was hoping it was going to...
Oh, that would have been cool. We'll see.
That's
see.
all right.
Yeah.
May switch them up. But yeah, I love it. The variety of people that are doing comedy, not all extroverts. Same thing with fighting. There's actually a lot of crossovers with the business side of it, and the personalities in there. So the idea that, you know, promoters will say a lot of different things to you to get you on the hook and then change things last minute. On stage, I've mentioned that you know, some lovers have this problem where you're promised 10, they adjust your expectations to 8, and then it's just a long 5. Am I talking about minutes or inches? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But yeah, I like the variety. It's very ego satisfying to get paid anything, and it creates a good loyalty to a location. And you know, I see myself growing into it at my own pace, where I'll go hot and cold. Unfortunately, I had some health issues last couple of months, so I did slow down from a few things. I was also refereeing the best I could. I had to stop doing that because of the knee brace thing. But there's new medications coming out. If I get one of the new medications that just got okayed for CIDP that was used for MS, that could be more effective and hopefully stop some of the drop foot and the numb feet and give me more abilities to do what I like have people stand on my throats.
Yeah, you like that was definitely the most memorable part of your sets. Like when I first started seeing you, but just in day-to-day conversation, you're very witty. You always got a joke. So
that's a lot of pressure.
Well, you deserve the pressure.
I deserve the pressure.
You've always
not just on my throat.
You've always lived up to the pressure.
And I like the pressure. Well, you know, like with the fighting, staying calm is more important than being angry and aggressive. I think, you know, comedy has that too. Like waiting the extra beat to, you know, have a clear thought. That's worth it, as opposed to just rushing and saying the first weird thing that comes in your head. They put you in an asylum for that. Oh, there are no more asylums, are there?
There are. I think they're still bad. Yeah.
So we're in danger.
Maybe
a little bit.
Oh wow, this was amazing, Eddie.
I'm glad, and I have actually. I have a present for you.
You have a present for me.
I thought this might be up your alley.
Oh wow!
Would you rub your hands together and hold the bottom of this? There you go. Oh, that's definitely warm. Squeeze it gently.
Whoa!
It's happening. It's happening.
Whoa!
Hey, both hands cup them. Think warm thoughts. A little warmer. Now, most people would have it boiling by now. Is it not boiling for you? I think you have to go to the doctor.
Do I have circulation issues?
It might be a circulation issue. This is how we diagnose that. Are you thinking warm thoughts? It might be happening. A watched toy never boils. Watch pot never boils. This is called a hand boiler, and that's not water in there. That's like a alcohol and glycerin, maybe. Hey, whoa. Congratulations, you made it boil.
Wow.
That says something about you. That you're alive. And to send it back down, you touch the top, and it'll all shoot back down to the bottom. Oh, and let go of the bottom, yeah. And it'll. that's a cool toy to play with and have you guess, but it's a gentle toy.
Wow. Yeah, Eddy is very famous for his props as well. Do you have any shows coming up in November that people could look out for? You'll post them on your Facebook or Instagram or something?
Yes, I'll send me away because I'm not that good of a comedian to remember to have all your show
Well,
listings.
you could also send me a link. I'll send you a
right.
text message before this episode comes out so people could look in the bottom section.
Appreciate it. It feeds my ego nicely.
Yeah.
And we'll flip this one more time because it's another cool toy.
We have to. This is Sessions with Mary Jane, so we got to give people something to look at.
And CBD has been a big part of my recovery. No THC, but CBD has helped me do better with this disease. So
yeah,
I'm on board.
Yeah. That's actually an interesting place for us to dive into for the last thing, because you don't drink, you don't do drugs besides what's prescribed to you, right?
Yes.
That is very unlike comedians and pretty unlike fighters as well, right?
Yeah, I was actually always an outcast of the fighters. I had no tattoos or piercings. A funny story is that the athletic commissioner of New Jersey, Larry Hazard, when I walked in, he's like, "Where's your fighter?" He's like, "I'm my fighter." Oh, okay. But yeah, no tattoos, no piercings, no alcohol. I had so many issues in my own upbringing of substance abuse and just all these problems with my family that it pushed me in the other direction. My mother actually took her own life with opioids. My grandmother, alcohol. My brother in jail. He was actually arrested 7 times in 6 days for theft, minor thefts in Atlantic City. So he got arrested twice in one day, but it was all for drug habit stuff. So I've stayed clear for it. I use as little as possible, even of the prescription drugs. So I have a codeine allergy too, so maybe that helps.
Oh wow!
But I just I enjoy living that way, which means my kids are doomed to be substance abusers. It's skip a generation. Is that how it works?
I don't know. Do you think that's made you such a man who you're always entertaining and you're always jolly and you're always dressing up in costumes and kind of living in a fantasy world? Do you think that's kind of you don't need anything to enhance your life because you're constantly dressing up like a Pegasus and
Centaur is one of my favorite costumes.
Yeah, Centaur.
But I think I found a way to enjoy life without that, and I don't begrudge anybody else from doing it. So I don't mind being designated driver. I don't mind keeping someone safe, but no, not for me.
Yeah, no.
Maybe when I turn 60.
Eddy's very chill with stoners, so don't worry if you're at a comedy show and you smell like weed. Eddy's fine with it. Eddy could hang in almost any setting.
Right. And you know how old I am, right? You're 30 years old, is that correct?
I'm 30 years old.
I remember being 30 like it was 22 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, Eddy, thank you so much for coming on. This was awesome. We definitely have more to talk about, but I'll keep this at a listenable length, and then we'll probably bring you back.
Once Mark Kerr finds out that I told everybody about his
that's the viral clip that's going on TikTok and everything.
Makes sense.
But thank you so much, Eddy. Please, if you guys are in the New Jersey area, look out for Eddy on local comedy shows. If you're in the comedy scene, get to know Eddy a little bit more. He's truly a gem of a human being and just an awesome person. And yeah, whether it's Halloween and he's dressing up and making things spooky for the people of Rutherford. There's many years that Eddy was selfless and out of the goodness of his heart just literally entertained people from balconies and from the Williams Center.
All ego based.
Yeah. And he also has an amazing Dungeons and Dragons improv show that I don't think he has any dates lined up for that. But if that's something that interests you and you want him to do it at your venue, you should reach out to him because it's a really tremendous show and it's awesome. And
Dungeons, and Dragons. That was a good time. I just realized that besides standing on my throat But you've done it at least once. Bad Slava stood in my throat recently.
Bad Slava.
The man himself who runs the open mic website for.
Oh wow.
Whatever. So that's somebody I met. So hopefully, if you guys see me out in an open mic, you can have an opportunity to stand on my throat.
Take it from us. It's a great experience. All right, guys. I'm Jordan Freed. Have a great night. Send this to your friends. Subscribe. Leave a 5-star review or whatever. And we will be back next Wednesday, perhaps. Peace.